All right. What is up? We are live, I think. Yeah, we're live. Welcome to this live stream where we're doing a little different things than usual. We're going to be answering some questions from the vinyl community, which I'm very excited about. Some of you guys sent me questions on Facebook and on Instagram. Generic music questions, various things, and I am excited to answer them. So we'll wait for a few people to get in here, and once that happens, we'll start rattling off the questions, and then after that, I have a little mini unboxing to do, and then after that, we'll do a generic Q&A. So we'll reiterate that in a few minutes. Everyone's trickling in. What's up? Ryan Dye in the house. I feel like I mentioned you last live stream. I don't remember why, but you weren't here. And it was a bummer. Cyber Crashers, what's up? Diego says, Wednesday night with Matt from Too Many Records is always a good time. Nice. Once the store is up and running, maybe I'll have to do a regular night live stream at the store just to do like a little chat. We'll have to figure that one out, though. We'll have to see what works best for that. But yeah, I love doing these. You guys seem to like them for the most part. And sometimes it's easier because sometimes you spend 6 hours editing a video and it performs worse than the live stream does. So you never know. But yeah, welcome guys. Thank you for coming and joining. I think this is going to be a fun one. I got some good answers prepared for some of these questions. I have some records down here. I don't know what they are, but we will find out together. And it'll be fun. What's up, Paul? What's up, Katarina? So if you guys can, before we get started, just hit the like button. Right now there's 22 people, which I know it usually jumps up like 15 minutes from now. It'll jump up considerably, but if you hit the like button, YouTube will think that you guys like it, and then they will also like it. That's how YouTube works. They are the devil. What's up, Joshua? All right, so let's get started. Let's start going over some questions. If you guys have a burning question for me that you want me to answer midstream, just drop me a super chat on the bottom, and I will stop what I am doing and answer your question to the fullest of my ability. So let's begin with the first question, which is, someone said, how often do you recommend replacing the needle and stylus on your turntable? That's a good question. I feel like it's something that is very nebulous in terms of what like the bona fide go-to answer is. I think that my answer might not be the most accurate, but here's what it is. They say it's supposed to be after 1,000 or 1,500 hours of play. Now, you might be wondering the same thing I was, which is, how do you even begin to calculate that? And the answer is, I have no idea. Unless you keep a meticulous log of every record you spin and the length, and you add it up in an Excel document, which takes the fun out of the hobby to me. It doesn't seem feasible. So what I'll say is this: as long as you keep your records clean, and therefore keep your stylus clean, and the stylus is not bent, as if you guys saw a video I did last year that was talking about how I almost destroyed my records, it's because the stylus was a little bent, and that could mess up the grooves long term. So as long as it's not bent and your records are clean, I'd say you're good to keep your stylus until it starts to sound bad. If you start to hear distortion or start to hear some like audio artifacting that wasn't there, a couple months prior, maybe it's time to change the stylus. But until then, don't overthink it. I think that's one of the big things of this hobby is like, don't overthink it. Listening to vinyl is supposed to be fun, and yes, it is important to take care of your stuff and treat them properly, and make sure you're not playing your turntables on really bad equipment, and whatever it may be. But also, it's not something that needs to be so scientific. A lot of the things can be to your ears, and it's important to keep that in mind. So that's my answer. The next question is thoughts on the new Tears for Fears album, and I don't have an answer because I am waiting for it to show up in the mail. It should be here any day now. I'm elated to hear that it's getting great reviews. People are saying it feels like an early Tears for Fears record, which is amazing because Tears for Fears, after their third album, they kind of lost favor with the public, and those follow-up records were not nearly as heralded as the first three, which to me are some of the best albums of the 80s. And I am really excited to hear them. I've been a big fan of their recent stuff, like the EP they did with the indie covers and the new single. So I'm very excited. But yeah, I'm excited to hear it, and I'll give you guys some thoughts either on Instagram or in the Facebook group once I listen. Favorite contemporary rock band? This was a tough one for me, because rock is largely dead in its truest form, its purest form, although a lot of rock derived from blues rock. I do think that rock these days very much so has splintered into a multitude of subgenres, whether it's psych rock or post rock or indie rock, which is kind of a catch-all for like catchier, poppier rock. Rock and roll, like, Led Zeppelin, rock and roll, it doesn't really exist anymore. But I will say that I'm assuming this question was asking me about contemporary artists in the sense of not a legacy act. Like, obviously Pearl Jam, I think, is the greatest American rock band, but not a legacy act as in a band that's burst onto the scene in the past 10 years or so. I believe my answer has to be King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. And yes, they do touch on a multitude of genres too, with thrash metal, folk rock, psych rock, like all kinds of stuff. But I do think that they encapsulate the modern rock aesthetic very well. And I think they provide a lot of varied, fresh sounds. And I mean, the ethos of King Gizzard is they just rock. So I think that they're probably the best band currently doing it. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like there needs to be like a revival of like, real rock and roll. But again, I feel like music has also evolved past that. I think that people take the elements that they love of rock and they make it their own, which I think is interesting in its own right. And there's a lot I could say on this subject, but I won't spend the whole live stream doing it. The biggest purchase I made that I soon regretted. This is actually a recent one. I posted about this very briefly, but the saga has escalated, and I feel the need to use this mini platform to share this awful experience I had. So I purchased the Radiohead Kid A Amnesia, whatever you pronounce it, deluxe book, which is Kid A Amnesiac, and then like the Kid A Amnesia Sessions, which is like unused songs from that era, which is, Kid A is one of my favorite records of all time. I love Amnesiac too. It's definitely bottom 3 Radiohead records for me, but I still think there are some of their best songs on there, especially You and Whose Army, I Might Be Wrong, Pyramid Song, etc. But I was really excited to get a deluxe edition of something that was going to be, encompassing a great era of one of my favorite bands. But their customer service is they go by Waste, W-A-S-T-E. And I was really perturbed by how they handled this. And here's what happened. So I ordered it, with COVID delays, it took like 8+ months to get here. But it was expensive. It was over $100. It was, a deluxe edition. And what happened was on at least 2 or 3 of the songs, there's like very bad distortion to the point where it's like unlistenable, not just like a minor issue. And one of the songs was my favorite Radiohead song, which is How to Disappear Completely. So I was really upset, and I immediately went to Discogs to read the comments to see if it was just my copy. And lo and behold, there were hundreds of comments of people across all the versions, not just the super deluxe, that were saying, "Oh yeah, mine is distortion. This is messed up. Blah blah blah." So I emailed their customer support and I was like, "Hey, this is what's happening. Like, what's going on? Is there any chance of a replacement?" And they said, "Hey, yeah, we're gonna press some replacements. We'll keep you posted." And I was like, "Great. I'm not fussy. I'm not in a hurry to get something that is entitled to me. Like, I'm not like I need my records now. Like, I have thousands to go through if I don't have that one." However, I will say that what happened after that was pretty disturbing in terms of a customer support perspective, because they sent a follow-up email a couple weeks later and they were like, "Hey, we're not doing replacements, so if you want to send it back, we'll cover the shipping and you can send it back and get a full refund." And I'm like, what are you talking about? No, like, we all want the product. You have a defective product that's largely a high percentage across the board based on all the comments throughout the variants, and this is not an acceptable way to do business. So I pushed back, as so did pretty much everyone on Discogs, it seems, and I asked, can you can you please provide a replacement instead? Like, that's what you said you would do. And they kept pushing back, no, you can return it, no, you can return it. And then one guy on Discogs posted that he emailed them, and he cited some policy from their terms of service where they were basically we were entitled to a refund if the product was defective and they couldn't replace it. And he said that they gave him a full refund and let him keep the thing. So I shared the policy as he outlined in the Discogs comment, and they responded to me and said, this conversation is finished. You know, do whatever you'd like at this point, but we can't help you any further. And I just think this puts such a bad taste in my mouth. Like, I know the guys in Radiohead have nothing to do with this, but man, they chose a terrible, terrible company to represent them. It's almost embarrassing that they would do this and, like, you know, give some people refunds and give some, you know, just like say they were going to do replacements, then go back on it. So this was a huge regretful purchase because you know, the record sounds like garbage, and you know, it was expensive, and I basically got the middle finger from their customer support. So I thought that was really crappy. And if, you know, Discogs, there's a ton of people that echo this sentiment. I know people that got the standard indie pressing have the same issues. So huge bummer, but you know, you live and you learn. That's part of this hobby, and I've learned not to deal with their web store anymore. So I probably won't be purchasing anything else from Waste moving forward. What grail did I acquire but were most disappointed when I got it and spun it, and why? I have two answers to that. One's a little, they're both kind of obscure, I guess, but one is Gene Dawson, Bad Sports. It's an EP by Gene Dawson. Really great record package, clear vinyl, holographic silver foil cover. And I found this at a local store for like $25 recently, and it goes for hundreds and hundreds. It's like a poppy emo, kind of like a little trappy at times, just like a very good, like, R&B indie kind of listen. It's a really solid EP, and I listened to it, and as I was getting to the end of side B, there were like some really bad skips that were causing my needle to like jump forward, and I couldn't really tell on the record even though it was clear, but the skips were like really bad. So I tried to clean it, and it didn't fix it. So maybe they priced it that low because it was defective. I don't know. You think that a store would at least write that on the sticker saying, hey, there's an issue with this. Otherwise, a fan just thinks they got a steal. But yeah, it's basically unplayable, which is a huge bummer. And the other one was I purchased a secondhand copy of Black Rock. BLAKROC, which, if you don't know, it is the Black Keys doing a hip-hop record. It's very good. It's very fun. Most Def is on it. There's a bunch of really killer tracks, and I actually like it more than pretty much any Black Keys record, except for maybe El Camino. And I got it for a good price. I think I got it for like $40. It's easily a triple-digit record all day, and the seller sent it to me, and they didn't know about it, but they sent it, and I listened to side A. It sounded amazing. And then I flipped to side B, and there's like some kind of pressing defect on the first track of side B, which is the single. It's like the best song. It's like a white kind of like film that kind of like covers the entire surface that you can't get off. Like, I tried to wet clean it, it wouldn't get off. So that was a huge bummer, because it basically means that, like, you know, that record is unplayable. Like, that side is unplayable unless you want to start the second track, but like, I hate doing that. Like, if I'd rather just get a new copy, but it's out of print. So that was a huge bummer for me as well. Sometimes you get grails and they let you down, but I was going through my like rarest records in my head, and I was like, you know what, I've had a pretty good like hit ratio for all of these. I feel like for the most part they were they've showed up clean and played well, which is nice when you're getting a grail, especially if you pay the aftermarket price for it. Am I buying the stem player for Donda 2? No. And I will say this. The stem player is very cool. I think it is a very cool piece of technology. I would like to have one. I would not like to pay $200 for it. I feel like that is a little excessive. But I listened to the Donda 2, I guess like the songs from the stem leaked, and I listened to it, and it just feels extremely unfinished. There's like 2 or 3 pretty solid tracks on there, but ultimately it's just a bunch of unfinished songs. So much mumbling from Ye, from his verses. Definitely not worth buying the stem player for that. I'm hoping that he revises it over time, There's potential with a lot of it, but a lot of it is just kind of generic. It feels like B-sides to Donda, which is what I expected when he was saying he was dropping another record so soon. So definitely not going to do that. Speaking of Kanye, did I watch the Kanye doc? So I haven't seen part 3 yet. I'm hoping to finish that tonight before bed. But parts 1 and 2 are phenomenal. I mean, like, you guys know I'm a Kanye fan, like, big time. But, like, it's so cool to see this man, before he had any success, literally manifest his, like, manifesting is, like, a ridiculous concept to me. Like, people are like, I'm gonna manifest my destiny. It's like, okay, like, you're not really. You're just gonna, like, try to do the things you want to do. But he literally did. He basically said, like, I'm going to be the greatest at this, and I don't care what anyone says, and I'm going to be. And then he was, over the course of 20 years. It's incredible. And watching him pre-college dropout still believe in himself that much and still have the same personality, basically. Maybe, you know, his mental health was a little more in check, but it's same drive, same personality, and seeing how that's kind of evolved as his career has evolved is a fantastic watch. I would advise anybody to watch Genius, even if you're not a big Kanye fan. I think it's just a very inspirational documentary, and it's very well done. Cootie did a really, really good job putting it together, so check that out. Next question is, why do I never talk about the blues? Because I'm a happy guy. I don't know. I'm not. This is a tough question to answer. I don't dislike the blues. I'm not like anti-blues. I'm not like, oh, the blues is a bad genre of music. It's just not really a genre of music I grew up with in my house. It's also not one I really spent a lot of time with in my adulthood. I definitely enjoy some music that's inspired by classic blues. I mean, it's probably the most influential genre of all time. But I've never built like a attachment to it. Like, I've never found blues artists that really resonate with me. And I just think it's a personal thing. I don't think it's something that, like, you know, I would never ever judge someone for being like, my favorite genre is blues. I'd be like, that's amazing. I'm happy for you. I wish that I loved the blues, and I feel like maybe there's still time. Like, maybe in 10 years I'll have a blues phase. I really feel like, you know, music is kind of like the ocean, right? It's like you keep having different waves of stuff that you're into at the time. So I haven't had my blues phase yet, but I recognize its importance to music history, and I hope that I will at some point. Here's a question I liked. How are you able to rank your top 100 albums of all time? I barely know how to rank my top 15. If you guys don't know, which I'm sure most of you do not, well, before I answer this question, welcome to the new 40 or 50 people that showed up since I last said hi. I'm answering questions from the vinyl community. If you can take a moment and please hit the like button, that'd be awesome. And if you have a question that's burning in your heart, feel free to drop me a super chat, and I will stop what I'm doing and answer your question. But let's continue with the backlog. So it took. So what I was saying is that I did a series called the Top 100 Albums of All Time. That's not right. My top 100 albums of all time. And it took me a colossal amount of time to plan it, write some stuff for it, film it, edit it, and it did terribly. It did very poorly comparatively to some other content on the channel, and it bugged me. It was a bummer because I put so much time into it, but, you know, it's a series I'm very proud of, and if you haven't seen it, there's a playlist for it on the channel, and I definitely advise checking it out. But what I will say is the way I built that series was very time consuming. I went through all my records and I looked at every spine and I took notes of every record that was significant to me above average, where it's like I could definitely speak to this record in a bigger way. And by that point, I had a list of hundreds of records that I had to then pare down to 100. And it was a tough process to do it. I had to really kind of like knock things out and really pit things against each other and think about them and re-listen to some stuff. It was a fun process, but it took a long time. And eventually I was able to lock in the top 100. I will say this, the top 25 on that list are definitely stalwarts. They're definitely going to be there. They're not really going to change, maybe the order slightly, but those are like definitely the most impactful albums of my lifetime. But the latter 75, for the, you know, give or take, have probably changed since I made that series. I mean, music, like I said, is super fluid. And your tastes always change, and you find new things, and you stop liking other things as much. It's very much situational. It's about where you're at in your life, you know, different people that you're hanging out with, things you're doing. All of that influences the music you're into. And I try to not make music consumable. which I feel like the culture pushes it to be. It's like, oh, listen to this album, immediately have an opinion on it, and then push it away and don't think about it. Like, all right, artist, give me the next album, which is not fair to the artists that work super hard on these. And, like, ultimately, I have moments where I wish that I could, like, just have, like, 100 records and really spend time with them and get to know them inside and out, and, like, just listen to, like, one record for an entire week every day and just really appreciate it and get it to memorize the lyrics and whatever it may be. And it's tough to do that when there's such an enormous amount of material coming out through so many different avenues, so many different channels, YouTube, Bandcamp, SoundCloud, Spotify, playlists, Apple Music. There's like, it's overwhelming. So I try to, I think that listening to and collecting vinyl helps that. I think that the people who are in this chat who like vinyl, we are kind of pushing against that, consume a single, move on, or, whatever it may be. And I do think that it's almost inevitable at times, and it's an interesting thought to kind of go down. So the next question is, do I have this is a question I get asked a lot, and it's going to be a bad answer, and I'm sorry. Do I have a weekly, monthly budget for records, or do I just spend, in the words of Father John Misty, like a king on cocaine? I'd like to hear actual numbers. My answer for that is I don't have a budget. I should have had one a long time ago, but my collecting has definitely spiraled into uncharted territories over the years. I think having the channel was probably like a justification to keep growing the collection, like having to live up to the Too Many Records moniker. But when you're really deep into collecting, like a lot of us are, I think you come to realize that certain releases, if you don't buy it at the time you buy it, you're never going to own it for a good price. And I think the logic behind buying it in that moment is, if I ever need to sell it, I can probably get my money back or more. And that's proven to be true countless times in my collecting journey. The aftermarket is a very, very real thing that people can try to rebel against, but it's the same with any collectible market. It exists. It always will. And I think there's a very stark difference, which I have a whole video about called Vinyl Flippers Explained. If you haven't watched it, it's one of my favorites I've done. But there's a huge difference between buying a record with the immediate intent to sell it, especially before it's even in hand, and buying a record and knowing that eventually you'll be able to at least make your money back. I think that's being a smart buyer. I think that literally every record store on the planet subscribes to that philosophy. And I think that opening my store is going to probably help me curb the buying itch in some ways, because I'll be doing collection buys and various buys for the store. It will feel a little more, aligned with the mission and not just like crazy buying. But I also think it might justify the purchases in other ways. So it should be an interesting journey for me to share with you guys, and I'm excited to dig into that. Yeah. And the final question before we do a little unboxing and then I take some of your questions is, internet, friend or foe when it comes to record hunting? It's a double-edged sword. Without a doubt, I will say that going to record stores, supporting them, and stumbling upon a killer deal or a grail that you never thought you'd see in person is among the top dopamine hits that we can get as fans of this hobby. There's nothing like it to go to a store and see a record that's worth $150 for $15. Like, there's no feeling. It's an amazing feeling. Or finding a grail that you've been looking for forever that almost never pops up online and seeing a store have it. Like, that is very cool, and that's what keeps us going, I feel like, as fans. Mike, thanks for the super chat, bro. No question, just enjoying the stream. Glad you're enjoying. But the double-edged sword of that is that sometimes, if you live in a more rural area, you may not ever have those experiences of a great deal or a rare find, because you may not have a local store, or your stores may be kind of lackluster. And supplementing with the internet allows you to find these kind of rarer, more uncommon records, whether it's from Discogs or NASDisc or Facebook or Reddit or whatever you use to buy and sell records. I think it comes down to the thrill of the hunt versus the joy of the acquisition, which is an interesting topic that I feel like is worth discussing. And I think some of these things I just talked about, I do have plans to kind of build out to larger discussions with future videos, especially related to the store. I have a lot of great content planned for like once I sign a lease to talk about philosophies about record collecting and about the store and all this stuff. And I definitely want to incorporate all of your guys' thoughts into it. So very excited. I just saw that one comment. Power Mitt says, let's get real. The rural areas are where the $1,000 records are. That's true. It is a double-edged sword there as well. Either the stores are going to be really bad and barren, or they're going to be full of grails because they're unpicked. So there's definitely a lot of variance in those areas. But I think my point still stands about, some people don't have access to a ton of record stores if they're not in a major city, and you might not be able to get the killer deals that other people can find in larger areas. All right, let's open some records. Shout out to the TMR box cutter. Right. I saw from the label who this is from, so I think I know what this is. Oh yeah. Long time coming for this one. Boom! This is the newest Pearl Jam Vault. I sorry. I got this. It's a really good set of songs. It's early in their career, so it's basically first album stuff with a couple B-sides. So really excited to hear this. Yeah, it's been. I ordered this a long time ago. This is from '92 at the Moore Theater, which is very. What is Pearl Jam? Someone said. Oh man. I don't know if I could be the one to educate you. You should just dive in and listen. But yeah, all of their vaults are pretty great. So this is a pretty killer first one to unbox today. Sorry, I got a funny text message before, and I should have been more professional and not read it on stream, but such is life. All right. Next one. What do we got? Oh! I ordered this ages ago. This is Mach-Hommy, Pray for Haiti. This is a really good album that is probably the last great dope record. It's I think this is the picture disc. They usually have a sticker that's kind of colored based off of whatever the variant is, and I'm pretty sure that means picture disc. I think I ordered the black and the picture disc. I missed all the craziest ones, but yeah, Pray for Haiti. Really good record. I mean, I really like Mach-Hommy. Some of his business practices are a little shady, but I did succumb to buying the HBO box set. It was like extremely expensive, but I can almost guarantee you that that's going to be worth $1,000 in a year or two. So it's just one of those artists where it's almost like art, where you have to treat it like art. So yeah. Well, we got a super chat before I open the next one. Just want my opinion on 2 reissue labels, Music on Vinyl and Drastic Plastic. Well, I'll tell you this. Music on Vinyl usually does a great job with their releases. They almost always sound fantastic. I have some that don't, but I think it's dependent on the source material more than anything else. I think that I'm a little perturbed by Music on Vinyl because I think some of their previous releases, I know the artists weren't in the loop. I know there was an issue with like Jack's Mannequin's Glass Passenger where like he was like, I didn't know this was happening. So I always kind of get irked when that happens, where an artist is like, I wasn't a part of this, which is a bummer. But overall, I do like music on vinyl. I don't know Drastic Plastic, though. I've never even heard of that. I like the name, though. So off the name, very good. What is this? Oh, right. I ordered this because I'm still trying to understand the hype of this man, Joji. I've listened and I've enjoyed his stuff, but I feel like I've never been able to like really connect with it. So I got the Turntable Lab Joji record, and I'm gonna give it another try because everyone freaks out over this guy. Everyone's like, whenever a release comes out, people lose their damn mind. So I guess we'll see if I like it, and if not, future store. But I think I'll like it. I mean, I don't dislike Joji. I just don't... It's never been, like, something that I'm like, this is amazing. Like, I don't understand why it sells out in 4 seconds whenever everyone posts it like that. Oh, when did Tony and Roland get here? Hi, guys. Okay, I'm glad that you guys are saying you can't get into Joji. I thought it was just me. I thought I was just, like, a crazy person. You know? But I'm glad that you guys... I'm glad that I'm not crazy. I mean, I'm crazy, but not in that specific way. Damn, we're at 99 viewers. Let's get to that hundo. Let's someone invite a friend in here. Let's get it up. Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, here we go. Spoon, Lucifer on the sofa. So my thing about Spoon is that I love their early records. I mean, Gaga, 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 Kill the Moonlight are two of like the seminal high school records for me. I really love their early stuff. And I like They Want My Soul. Is that what it's called? That album? That's I like about half of it a lot. The other half is kind of forgettable. But Transference and the one Hot Thoughts, like they were both albums that did not hit for me. A couple songs on Transference actually, but you know what? I've been hearing good things about this record. I haven't heard one track from it, but this is the, I think, Spotify exclusive variant. And I was like, you know what? They've been in my life for enough time that I'm going to give them a shot. I'm going to try my damnedest. So yeah. So what do you guys think of this? Have you heard it? Let me know. Yeah, I know everyone likes Gimme Fiction. I like Gimme Fiction too. Like I said, I like their early stuff. So, you know, Gimme Fiction, Gaga, 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 Kill the Moonlight, definitely their top three. But all their early stuff is good. Maybe not the earliest, like Telephono, I can't get into. So, yeah. So... All right, this is the last one. I think it's going to be Vaporwave, so I'm sorry. But then we'll do... Oh, we're at 109 viewers. When did that happen? Holy smokes. What's up, folks? If you missed the beginning of this, I answered a bunch of really cool questions, and hopefully people in the chat can attest to them being entertaining answers. So definitely go back and check that out when the stream is done. But we're about to answer your questions, so you came in at the right time. Oh, this is a Tiger Blood tapes release. Man, I love those guys. I know they get hate from certain niche communities, but they have only put out interesting releases. They've always shipped my stuff. I'm a fan. I don't know why they get so much unfair hate. It's ridiculous. But this is a release from Vaporwave release from Tiger Blood Tapes, and yes, I bought it because there's a Dreamcast controller on the cover. Yes, I'm that simple I'm a simpleton who sees a Dreamcast controller and I buy. But this is also a good record. I think I remember it being a little slush wavy, if I remember correctly. Music by Soul Enterprises. Yeah. So, shout out to Tiger Blood Tapes. You guys rock. Keep putting out the good. All right. So, let's do some questions. I'm going to go up and look at questions I missed that I can see, and then I'll just keep answering them until my voice goes out. So feel free to drop the questions in the chat, and I will go in order. What's up, Preston? Longtime watcher. Been a while since you caught a live. Glad you're here. Tony says that the new spoon is better than Hot Thoughts. That's good. It was, pretty hard to be worse than Hot Thoughts. I think that's probably their worst release. Any market for disco? You have 300 disco albums, singles, etc. Probably not. I like disco. I like disco-inspired modern music more, but I'm probably not the guy for that. Drastic Plastic is Love and Rockets, Cramps, Hanoi Rocks, Modern English, Manic Street Preachers. Got it. I like Love and Rockets. I don't really know. I mean, I know those bands. I just haven't really spent a lot of time with them outside of maybe like their big singles. Probably not a label that I would buy from a lot, but yeah. Do you sometimes try to get that rare, often gimmicky vinyl instead of more classic records because they will always be available? Yeah, I mean, Thomas, can you elaborate on that question? I think it's an interesting question, but I would like to kind of understand more about what you mean. Am I going to get the Tool record? No. I am a very casual Tool fan. I talked about this in my last live stream. I am certainly not paying $100+ for the band's worst album. Even their fans say so. Why? I don't know. Like, I would rather spend that money towards an original pressing of Anima. Am I grabbing Late Night Delight this Friday? I think I am, actually. I have an original copy, but I think I heard a rumor that they're having the cassette-only tracks on this pressing. Tell me if I'm wrong, if someone knows, but Late Night Delight is a top 5 Vaporwave record for me. I actually joined the My Pet Flamingo fan club to try to grab the fan club edition, so we'll see. Hey, Philip's here! Yeah, it's been a while since you've been here, man. I wish that you were still here. More, but I miss you, buddy. What do I think about off-center pressed records? You find many records by QRP have one side pressed off-center. I think that with some records it's easier to tell than others, but yeah, an off-center pressing can be really frustrating. My least favorite pressing defect is non-fill, which is like when you can kind of hear like the whooshing sound between tracks and in quieter parts, like on rotation, you hear like a whoosh, whoosh. That's my least favorite, and it happens so much these days because the quality control for new records is just like at an all-time low, a rock bottom. I missed a super chat. Oh, what's up, buddy? Any thoughts on doing a video on turntable maintenance? See my longer question already. Any thought on doing? I've had occasions when I'm trying to figure out if distortion I've experienced is the record, the stylus, or my receiver. That's a really good question, actually, man. And I don't think I'm the guy to do it. I don't think I'm enough of a tech guy to make it happen. I feel like we should get like Tech Moan to do it. I just feel like for me, gear is, admittedly, since the start of this channel, it's always been kind of like my weak spot. But yeah, I would like to watch that video and kind of learn more about that myself. And then John, what's going on? I didn't even see you pop in here either. Hey, what's going on, buddy? Let me scroll back up. You have 2 Tiger Blood tape pre-orders you're waiting on, Catsis and New World. Yeah, I'm waiting on those 2. I can't wait. Some of my favorite private press records. All right, I'm going to be honest. I don't really know what private press records are. Like, I've seen them in stores and I kind of get the concept, but I don't really know the history behind them. And I know it's a storied and varied history. Is Air Vinyl the worst label ever? I don't know what that is. Is that a hip hop label? It sounds familiar. I feel like they do like some hip hop stuff that I ignored. I don't know. What from the Record Store Day lineup am I excited for? I just did a video about that a couple weeks ago, so go check that out and leave a comment on that video when you're done with your things that you're excited for. Just got the new Mama Leak pressing from the Fluencer. Damn, I haven't thought about the Fluencer in a minute. I used to love their stuff. I mean, mostly just like Giles Corey and Have a Nice Life, but good label. A little too heavy for me at times, but I like those records a lot. A few records I'm looking forward to this year. I talked about, I have a video that I did at the beginning of the year that's my top albums I'm looking forward to this year, so definitely go check that out. As for record reissues, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Did I pre-order the 2 Telepath albums from Geometric Lullaby in December? I did. Telepath is my second favorite, maybe favorite Vaporwave artist, so anything of his that's on vinyl I'm in. No one's pressed my favorite Telepath record yet, though, which is Mystery Lover. I'm hoping that they do. The track 1 on Mystery Lover is maybe the best ambient track of my lifetime. Someone needs to reissue first Ghostland Observatory album. I don't know them that well, but they played a festival, a tiny festival in New Jersey that I went to a long time ago. I must have caught their set. This is like 2007, probably 6. Updates on my opinions on VMP in the new year. I have a video I want to make about VMP. It's just a pain in the ass to pull it together. I haven't had time. The reason I'm doing a live stream today is I'm so busy, guys. I really don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, but I am getting flamingly close to signing a lease potentially for a TMR store space. So I'm just a little overwhelmed with work and that stuff, and I'm just, up to here in water. So, more high-quality videos will be coming, but hopefully before that will be an onslaught of stuff about the store, starting with the lease is signed and then the build-out and all of that stuff. So look forward to this. It's a long time coming, but hopefully this is the next phase of TMR. Fingers crossed. Okay, Thomas, you sometimes try to get that rare video game soundtrack or obscure indie band on vinyl and keep pushing back buying classic records. I mean, yeah, I think my logic is that a lot of the classic records, I'm assuming you're talking about stuff from like the 60s, 70s, 80s, they're always going to be there, and they're not necessarily going to keep rising in price rapidly, unless they're a very specific pressing of a record that's like high quality. And the newer ones are the ones that you do miss out on, and you do get the FOMO if you don't buy it. So I get what you're saying. I mean, like, if I'm in a store, I usually, like, I feel like I have all the classic rock and like 80s records that I really want. Like, there was always a few I always remember, and I'm like, oh right, I should get that, and if I stumble upon it, I'll get it. But like, ultimately, like, I don't know, it's just not my preferred stuff compared to modern music, so I don't tend to go for the classics, because I have 200 plus classic records, and the interesting thing about that statement I just made is that, there's so much more to discover from those eras that I don't know, and I think that's a whole nother phase of my life will be going back to like the 60s, 70s, and like, discovering some of the stuff that's really obscure compared to like the big names. So there's a lot to go with that question. When are we doing a PDX meetup? We should do a PDX meetup at the store when it's open. Have everyone who's a PDX fan come to the store on a specific day, and we can all listen to music and hang out. I think that'd be super fun. I'm not going to Glass Animals next week, though, but hopefully that's a good show. I do like them. T480, you're the one who recommended me the Velvet Goldmine soundtrack a few months ago. Yeah, I did pick it up. And you know what? I listened to one or two of the tracks digitally, and, I really liked the Tom York songs a lot. I have the record in my massive to listen to backlog. I haven't opened it yet, but I'm glad I bought it, and I'm glad you turned me on to it. What's the last time I found a $100 record in a bin for less than $20, and what was it? That's a really good question. I don't know. I don't have it off the top of my head. I'm sorry. That's a good question, though. What do I think of Durant Jones and the Indications? I've heard the name a few times, but I have not listened. Thoughts on Metropolis Records? I'm not sure what that is. Usually private press means the artist had a label made for them or a specific record. It's common collecting singles and older records. Yeah, I think that private press records is from an era that I don't focus on with my collection, but I do think it's a dangerous rabbit hole that it probably could be pretty interesting to go down, and I'm sure there are other channels that dive deep into them. How do I feel about the Fluance RT85? It's one of my favorite turntables. I have a whole video where I talked about, I got my friend Carly to get one, and we set it up for her. The video is terrible. The sound quality is so bad in it. I feel terrible, but I'm a huge fan of Fluance. I've been singing their praises for years. I think Fluance RT85 is the best bang for your buck table under like $800. You just got Marcus D's Ryujin no Yume album. It's so good, right? Man, Marcus is just the coolest, and his music is so good. I really want to find time to get out to Japan to kick it with him. I think that'd be a really fun video, digging in the crates with Marcus D in Japan. Like, it would be like a video. It would be like 7 videos. It would be a series. If I go to Japan, it's going to be like a week of just nonstop eating and record shopping, and it's a dream. I would love to do it. Do I know when I'll have time with the store and my job? Probably not, but one day. Hopefully sooner than later. Did I see the National announced a festival in Washington today? Yes. I emailed them and I asked them if they're doing single day tickets, because I think it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I believe. Maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but whatever the first day of the festival is, I'm going to see Blame Canada tour with Tony, who's in the chat here, which is Sum 41 and Simple Plan doing their classic records, which will be so much fun. But if the National is playing on the 13th or 14th and they do single day tickets, I'm 100% going to drive up to Seattle and see them. It's been since 2019 since I got to see them live, and I'm dying for more stuff. And I know they're probably working on some new songs. And, if they announce a proper tour, how many shows will I try to make it to? It really depends. It'd be nice to have, if they do a tour, it'd be nice to see some of their set lists before I can commit to it. Because the Nationals sometimes play pretty sterile sets that are, mostly the same night to night with a couple minor variations. And sometimes they'll throw in like a bunch of random early stuff randomly. I've never had the pleasure of seeing them play anything from their first album. Very rarely saw stuff from Sad Songs, and not that many Alligator tracks either. So if they're kind of doing a set that's, if they're not touring for an album and they're just playing their discography, I think I'd like to go see them a few times, but I don't think I'd travel too far. I think I would probably just go, within a couple states, West Coast. What are my thoughts on Epic Games buying Bandcamp? Oof, that's too many thoughts to have for just a little live stream, but I think my gut reaction is it's not a good thing. All of these companies that are like merging into these mega companies and acquiring things, it always kills the vibe. So, I don't know. Bandcamp was like one of the last bastions for artists to have like a true, unfiltered platform, and now I feel like it's going to start becoming a little gimmicky. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong. What's my best score when buying lots of collections for the store? I suppose we'll have to find out as the months and years come. I'll be definitely making videos about awesome scores. I admire Noble Records videos when he does them. They're awesome, and I hope I can do them as well with my own twist. Why do some records sound different than others? You bought your first 2 records, Zeppelin 3 original press and Nirvana Nevermind re-release, and the Zeppelin is louder and sounds better. Whew, that is a very complex question to answer, but to put it into the most common terms possible, every record has a different source that the material's from. It has a different person who cut it, a different person who mastered it, different plant that pressed it. All of these factors will affect the final product. The original source probably being the most effect in the chain. But yeah, I mean, you can't compare the sound of 2 different artists and 2 different albums. They're going to sound different in a multitude of ways. And I think that's one of the interesting things about vinyl, is trying to find the pressings that you love and stay away from the ones you don't. What record am I pushing off buying right now that I think I'll be pissed if it suddenly goes out of print and skyrockets? Oh, I just saw a super chat. Sorry, Ryan. I gotta take this first. Are compact discs coming back? I heard rumblings about it. I feel like in the next 5 years there's going to be a mini CD renaissance, but I think people are going to realize why they abandoned CDs when streaming came out, and it's not going to be the same thing like vinyl has, which has so many tangible, things that you can grab onto as huge perks compared to CD versus digital. I think people will try to bring it back. I don't think it'll stay. Ryan, that's a good question. I don't think there's any record that's in print right now that I haven't purchased that I really want. I think most of my wants are out of print these days. How's Portland? Where's the store located? What's up, George? The store is still looking for the location, but I am very close with a spot that's kind of North Portland-ish. So it's on the east. I guess it's not east side. It's north. It's north, but it's not across the river. It's fingers crossed I get it. It's, I have thoughts about the spot itself, but if I get it, there will be a video about why I chose it, showing it off, and then we're going to have a ton of videos about the store moving forward. Thoughts on We Lost the Sea. Just got my Departure Songs anniversary repress. That's a band that I actually like, but I don't own any of their records. I almost purchased Departure Songs, but I feel like sometimes you just gotta slow down, right? And I have a lot of those moments where I have to slow down. I'll probably get it at some point. Where am I doing Record Store Day this year? I'm not fully convinced I'm going to Record Store Day still. There are some good things on the list, but there hasn't been anything that's made me want to line up anywhere. I've been able to go to a lot of indie record stores' websites or Discogs and get what I want after the fact for sometimes even cheaper. So, it's still up for debate. What if Sum 41 cancels and is replaced by Nickelback? I will drink heavily and sing along to their hits and cry when they're not playing their hits. You would die on the spot if you saw The National play your favorite songs off Sad Songs. Sad Songs is such an underrated album. It's like... I'm so mad that people don't consider it as good as Post Boxer and everything after. I got to see them play... This might be a fever dream. I almost don't... I think the first time I saw them live, they played Cardinal Song, which I know they almost never play. It was in Prospect Park in New York. I've also seen them do Available. But I think that's it. I might have gotten a Lucky You, but I don't know. What's my top vinyl pick for RSD this year? I think the most interesting reissue is probably the Sarah Bareilles, because that's a very wanted record. Same with the Corinne Bailey Rae. But yeah, there's nothing that's like a freak out moment, which RSD hasn't had in quite some time. Bandcamp about to have an item shop and skins. That's what I'm saying. I tweeted about that today. I was like, oh, they're gonna have loot boxes, and it's gonna be like, buy this randomized loot box and maybe you'll get Blonde by Frank Ocean, but maybe you'll get Whipped Cream and Other Delights. You never know. $19.99, get your loot box. That's a joke, but man, that would suck if Bandcamp turned into this gimmicky, it would help vinyl speed to a demise, which I don't want to have happen, obviously. What's up, brother? Great channel. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. Cardinal Song and Available are the GOATs. Yeah, they are the GOATs. Cardinal Song is the saddest song ever. And I think I read an article where Matt was like, it's too sad to play live. Which for them is hilarious because their music is all sad. Thoughts on Eddie Vedder's new album? I really enjoyed it, but I don't think I loved it. I don't think it was as good as Into the Wild. It's good. It's a good listen, but it wasn't memorable. By the time I finished it, there wasn't a hook or a lyric or a melody that was really ingrained in my head, which is kind of a bummer. But Eddie Vedder can't really do wrong. Thoughts on the new Tears for Fears album? I am waiting for it. It should be arriving this week in the mail. I haven't spun it yet because I'm waiting for the record. but I'm excited. Everyone seems to be... the amount of people in this chat that have asked me about Tears for Fears is wild. I talked about Tears for Fears maybe 5 minutes into this live stream, and then like now everyone's like freaking out about it, which is great because that means it's going to be a good listen. What's the poster behind my back? This is one of my favorite posters I have custom framed. This is a Pearl Jam live in Copenhagen. I was not at this show, but the poster was so cool. It's a collaboration between Todd McFarlane, who you know did Spawn, and Pearl Jam, which is rad. I got so much good art over here. You can't tell because I can't bring the webcam over, but those are like both like super shiny, like an MF Doom and Little Ugly Mane tour poster. Yeah, I love my art. I would love to do like a video tour of all the art in my home, but I feel like it would do so poorly. I feel like it would get like 400 views. I'm considering just doing like an Instagram thing where it's like I build a album, one of those albums that stays on your page, and just show off all the art in my home. Maybe. What was the first record I ever got? Steven, who designed the TMR store shirts, he asked that as his question, and I was like, are you trolling me? Because everyone asks that every live stream, every interview I've ever done, I answer that. But he wasn't. He was like, no, I don't know. My first record I ever got was The National Alligator, and it was a couple of years before I really got into collecting records. Did I finally get my Flatbush Zombies? I didn't. I emailed them because I was concerned, and I guess they're shipping them in 2 waves, and I guess the second wave is this month. I don't know. I'm not in a rush. I have an original press. I'm just excited to get it. Honest opinions on King Ghidorah. I know why you're saying that, because it's not quite as good as the best MF Doom projects, but I do think that Phasers is one of his best tracks, and I think that the whole album front to back encapsulates the energy of Doom really well, and it's a good listen. It's a solid, 7.5. How many Pearl Jam records do I own? A lot. A lot. Between all the variants, between the 7 inches, between the box sets, it's astronomical, to say the least. Someone asked me the last live stream what artist I have the most of, and I said it was Kanye, but I think it might be Pearl Jam. If I forgot about all the 7 inches. They have just I have 15 or 27 inches of theirs. All right, let's hit the 1 hour mark, and then I'm gonna go. So you guys got 2.5 more minutes for some killer questions. Hit me with your best shot. Fire away. Go. Funny how your first record is often your favorite band. Yours was obviously Bright Eyes. Obviously. What's for dinner, Roland says. That's a good question. I have leftover salmon, but I almost just don't want to eat it again, so I might order food. I've been cooking a lot lately. I've been trying to not order out as much, but I'm feeling a little lazy. I might order something. To be determined. How do I feel about the absurd prices of bootleg vinyl? Frank Ocean be running close to $100 and kind of makes you lose interest in ever collecting Frank. Well, I mean, that's not his fault if the bootleg records are $100. I mean, it's his fault for not repressing Blonde, but I mean, you got to be careful because a lot of the sites that sell bootlegs, like Rollin' Rex, they don't price them at $100. They price them normally. It's these other sellers that buy them from Rollin' Rex and then overcharge them to people that don't know any better. So you have to be careful. Like if you go on eBay and you see a bootleg for $100, that's not what it's supposed to be. I mean, it's a bootleg, so what is it really supposed to be? It's supposed to not exist. But that being said, I don't know. I don't think the going rate, MSRP for a bootleg Frank Ocean record is $100. That's definitely not the case. So you got to be careful. Have I heard of the Cali Roots Festival? I have not. Did I find a holy grail of all holy grails this year? Not yet, but I will. I believe in it. It's only 3 months in. 2 months in. Honest thoughts on Rolling Loud Music Festival. Is that the one that was just announced today? I mean, obviously Kanye and Kendrick headlining. pretty incredible. But the undercarriage, for the most part, not necessarily artists that I love. Some I like, some I don't like. It's not worth going to. I'm sure Kendrick will do a world tour when he drops his album, and I will go to that for sure. All right. Thank you guys for coming. This was super fun. Thanks for being cool about me not having a proper video and just chatting with me and hanging out. Hopefully store updates very soon, maybe even next week. I don't know. Cross your fingers. I really need you guys to put it out there in the universe that this is the spot, because I am so sick of this search. It has been brutal. But good things to come. Thank you guys again for joining, and make sure you're subscribed. Bye.